posso chiedere, quindi lei ovviamente essendo stato qua per Giovanni Paolo II vuol dire che lei è credente o... My name is Nicole Winfield. I'm the Vatican correspondent for the Associated Press. I've been covering the Vatican since about 2001. So 3 papacies, Pope John Paul II, Pope Benedict XVI, and Pope Francis. And I covered the entirety of Pope Francis's pontificate from his election until his death. And I got to travel around the world with him. We went to dozens and dozens of countries, Africa, Asia, South America, all throughout Europe. And I wanted to gather some of those memories in trying to make sense of what this pontificate meant to me, to journalists, and to the world.
Io non ho sentito alcuna vittima di Barros. Ma non sono venuti, non hanno dato le evidenze per il giudizio. È un po' sull'aria questo, è una cosa che non si può prendere. Lei con buona volontà mi dice ci sono delle vittime, ma io non le ho visto perché non si sono presentati.
Francis, when he was elected, didn't really have a good sense, especially of the issue of clergy sexual abuse. And for American media in particular, that was a major issue. And so there were some challenging moments where I and other journalists really had to call him out on things that he had not understood or misunderstood or made some really bad mistakes. One of them was in 2018. We were coming back from a difficult trip to Chile, and the Pope had really made some very painful comments to victims there. And so the press conference on the plane was very difficult. It was very tense. And I, perhaps out of exhaustion or exasperation, kind of called him out on some of the things that he had said that were factually wrong. And it was a little shocking for the Vatican because that you usually don't do that on with the Pope. He later told me in an interview that was the moment that the bomb exploded, and he said, you know, his head exploded because he realized that he had not understood the situation until then. One of the next trips in that year, 2018, a very difficult year, he gave me a nickname that kind of stuck with me for the rest of his life. He called me the prima della classe, which is in English the first in class. It's a name that kind of has a dual meaning. It can be positive, but it can also have a kind of negative connotation, like you're a know-it-all or a goody-goody. I'd like to think that he called me that because he respected what the AP and I had done in calling him out and showing him that victims had been really hurt by what he had said.
Imagino que después de 2018, ver estos problemas para usted es una cosa grave, ¿no? Que usted tiene que gestionar estos casos también.
Pero cuando hay menores, la manga bien cerrada, no manga ancha, ¿no?
Se puede esperar, pero más transparencia del Vaticano en esos casos.
Es lo que yo deseo, ¿no? Y con la transparencia viene una cosa muy linda, ¿no? Que es la vergüenza. La vergüenza es una gracia. Acá había cosas que no se podían exponer, se ponen allá.
I remember our final really substantive audience was back in January of last year. he was meeting with all of the journalists who were accredited to the Vatican, and I had a problem. I was dealing with a family conflict with a trip that he was about to make to Asia, and my daughter was going off to university in the US, and I needed to be able to get her settled into her dorm. And so I kind of laid it out for him and explained this dilemma that I was facing. I had to choose between this trip to Asia or bringing my daughter to university. And I suggested, if he were to consider changing the dates of the trip, that would resolve the conflict. Lo and behold, a few months later, it turned out that the dates were moved to September. I don't know for a fact if he took my request into consideration, but I was able to do both.
Pope Francis has traveled to the remote jungles of Papua New Guinea. He's brought a ton of medicine and toys to the people of Vanimo. This is a coastal town on the northwest coast of Papua New Guinea, near the border with Indonesia.